Welcome back to Small Caps. My name's Kerry Stevenson, and today we are talking with Blackstone Minerals, not just another mining company. ASX code is BSX. Joining me today is the Managing Director, Scott Williamson. Scott, welcome to Small Caps.
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. Thanks for having me.
Hey, listen, Scott, let's start just by reminding our listeners as to who are Blackstone Minerals.
Yeah, so at Blackstone, we're focused on the Ta Khoa nickel sulfide district in northern Vietnam, but we're looking to build a downstream nickel refinery, which allows us to produce the precursor product, which is the first stage of the lithium-ion battery.
So it's not just nickel, you've got a downstream business as well as the mining business, which enwraps it all and feeds into the lithium-ion battery.
That's right. And with the amount of demand that we're seeing coming from the downstream players, so the major players in the industry, we're continuously talking to those major players, and we're now increasing the scale of that downstream business to feed into that significant demand that's coming. So we have regular communications with our major player in the industry, which is EcoPro, is our major customer and partner. So they're a major part of our business. We're also talking to a number of those other major players, and there's a significant demand for the high nickel cathode. So it's a movement towards a high nickel cathode, and that's what our business is looking to build, is that NCM 811, which is an 8 times nickel cobalt to manganese ratio in the cathode going forward, which is the key to our downstream business.
Scott, when you started with Blackstone, was there going to be a downstream business? I'm just curious, or was it here's a nickel mine in northern Vietnam, we'll get that open, the nickel price is getting stronger, it's a mining business. When did the downstream business start to look? When did you look at that and think this is going to give a lot of shareholder value?
Yeah, it's a great question, because we actually started our lives as cobalt explorers, and through that experience as a cobalt explorer, so the initial lithium-ion battery had a 1:1 ratio of nickel to cobalt to manganese. So the world needed a lot of cobalt, and so we went and spoke to the partners, and there's actually EcoPro, our current partner, that said to us, we're actually moving away from cobalt, and they gave us the insight in this movement in the chemistry towards a high nickel. And they needed the downstream product as well. So the EcoPro is a major player in the industry. They can't access these upstream products. So a nickel concentrate, unfortunately, these downstream players can't access so they need it in the chemical form.
Why not, Scott? Why can't?
They just don't have the expertise at this stage, and they're relying on the miners to bring it into the next stage, which is the chemical products. And so that's why the collaboration between EcoPro was built around the fact that as chemical providers and suppliers into the battery, they didn't have the mining expertise to get it past the nickel concentrate phase. And that's where the collaboration was built through that relationship with EcoPro. And it was really it was a customer-led strategy, and EcoPro pushed us into that sort of, okay, let's go into the downstream products together as a partnership. So they're coming along the journey. They're going to bring funding. They'll bring some of the technical expertise as well. We'll bring out chemical engineers. So there's a real collaboration of the two industries. So the chemical industry being EcoPro, and then the mining industry being Blackstone. So it's really been driven by that partnership with our downstream partner, EcoPro.
And so that enables you to take the nickel concentrate and give it more value, and the end result will be that you can sell a higher value product into the market. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So that 811 product, so the NCM 811, trades at around a 35 to 40% premium to the nickel metal price. So it's a significant value uplift on nickel metal. And so the concentrate price, so most nickel miners in the market and most of our peers sell concentrate, which they have to sell to the stainless steel industry, and they only get about 70 to 80% of the nickel, the LME nickel price. So they're getting a discount to nickel metal. We can convert that concentrate, and we can partner with a lot of those groups that are at the moment focused on stainless steel. We can bring them into our model and give them the exposure to these premium products, which trade at a premium to nickel metal, and the stainless steel industry model so that's the opportunity, is to value uplift on that nickel concentrate, and it's a premium product.
With your project in northern Vietnam, the nickel mine itself, let's just talk about news flow from there. when are you going to get into production with that nickel to feed this downstream business? And does that happen at the same time as working with other partners to bring more nickel in? Because I assume that your nickel mine, I guess the downstream business is a hungry beast and you're going to need nickel from other parts. So how's that working?
That's right. So at the moment, we're looking at a 4 times increase on the previous study. The study was focused on one of our opportunities, and so we're now drilling out a number of our different ore bodies that are suited to our existing concentrator. So the process of study, so the PFS, DFS, there's a 2 to 3 year process before we can turn the mine back on. And we're lucky that the previous owners sunk $130 million. So we've got the existing concentrator there, which is well suited to some of these high grade ore bodies, which we're drilling out at the moment. And so we're just stepping through the study work. So a lot of drilling, and then your mine plan and your block model. So there's a bit of work there, but it's a 2 to 3 year process. At the same time, we have the downstream business unit going through the similar study phase, but they're also that downstream business is also looking at the third-party feeds and blending those in with our mine feed. So the feed from our mine, we can blend it with other mines from around Australia, Canada, and Africa, feeding in all of our third-party providers, and we're working through those different concentrates now. So we're working at about 8 different concentrates at the moment, and one of those is from our mine, and we're blending that in with all these different concentrates that we can find from our third-party partners, and Trafigura is one that we've announced, and so we're very, very close with Trafigura and really keen to work through that downstream business with them.
So again, forgive my ignorance here, but do you take the nickel out of your current mine as you would in any other mine and turn it into a concentrate, and then the next level is to go into this downstream business? Is that a separate process, a separate plant? Is that close to your mine? How does that, what's the logistics of that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because so we've got an existing concentrator, so we'll create concentrate at the mine level. We're looking at putting in a second concentrator because there's so much nickel around. We're going to have 2 different concentrators at the mine level. Then the refining business, we're looking at a few different locations, but we want to position that so it's a little bit closer to the port, near the rail infrastructure nearby. But the key part of that is that we need the hydropower. So in our Sonla province, we have the largest hydropower plant in Southeast Asia. So that drives a very low power cost, but it drives a green product. So our final product will be a green nickel product, and it'll be a very low carbon footprint. So we don't want to be too far away from that hydro. We want the benefits of the green power. So we're looking at a few different locations, but it will be a separate business and a separate location to the mine, which is the mine is already hooked into that hydropower. We want to make sure the refining business is also on the hydropower, because that's a key part of our selling, is the fact that it'll be a green product.
Is it, you say it's the largest hydropower plant, can it take, is there enough power for all of this?
Yeah, we've got plenty of capacity there. There's actually 2. There's one in Sonla, and then there's another one downstream at Ta Khoa. So there's two of the largest hydro dams in our region. So yeah, plenty of spare capacity there, and we can always add to that with backup solar. We're focused on renewable power. There are other ways we can add to that, but at the moment, plenty of spare capacity in the hydro dams there out in Sonla and Ta Khoa.
So you want to make sure that investors understand that at the end of the day, this mining will be very much focused on a low carbon footprint using that hydro power plant.
That's right, and we'll focus on sourcing the green products as well. So we'll be talking to our third party providers and making sure that they're reducing their carbon footprint as well, and they're moving towards renewable power, because it's important that the whole value chain all the way through from our concentrate providers, they also need to be focused on moving towards zero carbon as well.
Once you've got this product, which has got more of the value, what happens there? I mean, who do you sell it to? Are there going to be clients, customers close by, or do you have to ship it off to wherever? Yeah,
so there's a couple of major players in northern Vietnam already established. LG Chem is looking to build a $2 billion lithium-ion battery plant at the port nearby the mine. So the port city of Haiphong they have a joint venture with a local conglomerate called VinFast, or the Vin Group. The VinFast are looking to build electric vehicles and electric scooters, and they're looking to take on Tesla. So look out for VinFast, because that's Vietnam's, I suppose, answer to Tesla. And they've got some big aspirations to sell into the US and European markets. So there is a scenario here where our nickel goes all the way through to a locally made electric vehicle at the port city of Haiphong near the mine. So we're closing the whole loop. So to do that, we'd need to bring in some lithium. So our partner EcoPro, they already do the full cathode. So they go from NCM all the way through to the cathode. So there's no reason why we couldn't bring in a bit of lithium, and we're going all the way through to the electric vehicle with partners like VinFast or LG. Samsung's also in this region. So LG and Samsung have been in northern Vietnam for 10 to 20 years. They've sunk $20 billion into the electronics manufacturing in this region. So it's a real growth story. It's one of the biggest growth stories in the world at the moment. They've tackled COVID better than anyone, as good as we have in Australia. And this is a major growth hub for lithium-ion batteries, but also over time electric vehicles as well.
So, and the electric vehicle market is just, I mean, we've just seen some of the announcements today about, I think it was Ford going EV was one of their biggest gas guzzlers. I mean, it's just extraordinary. The demand is going to be enormous. It sounds like Vietnam is a really good jurisdiction. Yeah,
we've been very happy there. And what we love is that there's an established mining industry. So there's already the service providers, all the technical people. We've got some great geologists that have come out of the universities, and we've got strong metallurgy, mining engineering, all the great things that we have from an established mining industry. Then you combine that with very competitive labour costs, the low power costs, and the fact that we're on the doorstep of all these major players. So the major players in lithium-ion battery industry are South Korea, Japan, and China, and we're on the doorstep of all those major players. So we don't see there's a better place to be positioned than in Vietnam today to produce those downstream products for nickel.
Okay, well, so as I said right at the start, it's not just another mining company. You've got this very, very important downstream business, but you don't just have nickel in this mine either, do you? Because you've got platinum, you've got rhodium, you've got a number of other metals. What are you going to do with those?
Yeah, so the great thing there is because we've got one of these, what are they? They're called the magmatic nickel sulfide deposit, very similar to Chalice and the Nova mine, which is the IGO's mine. They have these byproducts which are really, I suppose, key to. They cover a lot of the costs as well. So when you're looking at producing a copper, a platinum, palladium, all these different byproducts. So they actually end up being final products out of the downstream business as well. So we actually produce copper cathode, which is the copper plating. We'll produce the precious metals, so palladium, platinum, rhodium. We'll have revenue from all of those different streams, and those byproducts are so strong that they cover all of those operating costs. And so yeah, it makes for a very economic mining scenario, and particularly when we're getting all-time highs on some of these metals. So the precious metals, a lot of these have been driven by the catalytic converter, which is it's almost like a natural hedge really, because we've got the nickel for the EVs, but then we've got the palladium and the platinum and the rhodium, which goes into the catalytic converter, which is obviously for the internal combustion engine to reduce emissions. So we've got both covered.
Okay, well, we don't have a lot of time left. I want to quickly run into a couple of other things, which is your PFS coming out soon for the downstream business? Where are you with that?
Yeah, so downstream is June, July. That'll include those third-party concentrates. So it allows us to increase the size. So we're looking at 4 trains or 4 times the size of the scoping study. So look out for those numbers. They are going to be very exciting. That will show the market what the full potential of this downstream business. Then we'll follow that up with the upstream update as well. So the PFS for the upstream will be later in the year. To do that, we need to drill out some of these high-grade ore bodies. We've got the King Snake, Ban Chang. So and these are the ones that have got those exciting byproduct credits. So yeah, some great work still happening on the upstream, but also yeah, keep an eye on that downstream, because that's the one where I think the market might have missed that one.
Yeah, I do. I think the market has actually missed it a little bit at the moment. There was another really important question I was about to ask you, and my brain has just exploded because I think it's really exciting what you're doing. Codrus Minerals, I really want to talk about that because before I get into Codrus, actually, I've just reminded myself, funding. How are you going to fund all this?
Yeah, it's a good question. So EcoPro is our current partner. We believe that this will be funded by groups like EcoPros and the major players, which are even bigger, which is the LGs and your Samsung, and even maybe VinFast. So we're in communication with all of these groups. So so the funding is not the issue here. It's more about supply, security of supply. So the funding risk will be minimised by using large balance sheets of the major players in the industry, and so that it'll be driven by a partnership model. So we will give away some equity in that downstream business. We'll try not to dilute the Blackstone shareholders, but we'll give away equity in that downstream refining business, and we can give that away to our feedstock partners as well to lock in the supply. So we've got plenty of room to bring in partners from both sides, feedstock partners, so other nickel miners, and then downstream customers will fund this as well. So yeah, plenty of room to bring in those major players. And yeah, so funding we don't see as a major issue at the moment. As you know, there's money around at the moment, so it couldn't be a better place to be for a junior miner at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's sounding very exciting. Before I leave you though, Codrus Minerals, you're doing a spin-off. This is going to give value to shareholders. I'm not sure that people have picked up on this. Just talk to us a little bit. Projects in WA and over in Oregon in the USA.
That's right. So the three WA assets were our IPO assets. Over the last 4 years, we've actually done a significant amount of work on these assets in the background. We haven't really talked about them too much because the focus has been cobalt and then nickel, and so we've been focused on the battery metals. But in the background, we've been doing a lot of gold work through WA. We've got one long strike of the Kanowna Belle gold mine. There's a bit of nickel potential there, so that's the Silver Swan South asset. One Redgate up near the Porphyry mine, which is one of Saracen's mines, now Northern Star. We've got the Pilbara gold, but I think the wild card is the one in Oregon, and so keep an eye on that one. It's a very high grade gold system up in Oregon. We picked that one up because when we were up in British Columbia looking for cobalt, very similar geology to what we saw in British Columbia. That's the wild card. Newmont drilled 20 meters at 3.5 grams in 1980s and walked away after 3 drill holes. So yeah, it's one of those left behind that from a different era where the gold price was much lower. The hurdles for those major players are much larger. We think that's the one to keep an eye on up in Oregon. And we've got Shannon Bantforth, MD. He's just come out of Samphire. His first gig as an MD. He's gonna do an amazing job and create some value for Blackstone shareholders.
Just tell me the timing on that one with the spin-off of Codrus.
Yeah, getting close. So we're live now. So if you're a Blackstone shareholder, get on the website, put your priority offer in, so you'll get the first right to some shares in the spin out. So yeah, hoping to list within the next 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, look out for it. It's CDR is the code, and yeah, so yeah, it's live now. So get on board.
So do Blackstone Mineral shareholders, do they get any free shares in Codrus as a spin-off?
No, so we'll keep that as a Blackstone holding. So Blackstone entity will keep 30 to 40% of Codrus, and then we will look to monetize that over time. And there's a few different ways we can do that. But don't worry, the Blackstone shareholders will be valued at the appropriate time. So at the moment, we're keeping it as a Blackstone holding. But there's different ways that we can make sure that the Blackstone shareholders will get value over time.
Well, we'll have to get you back for another chat and tell us how Codrus is going, and also that downstream business, as I said right at the start, not just another mining company, ladies and gentlemen. Very exciting times for you, Scott. And boy, oh boy, have you come a long way since we last chatted. So well done on all the progress, and we look forward to an update in the near future. Thanks for chatting to us on Small Caps today.
Thanks a lot, Kerry.